There we go.
A broadcasting legend in his own mind. He's known to be prickly and very opinionated. It's time to get in the huddle with your host, Coach Muddle.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Huddle. It's me, Coach Muddle, Nevada Nick, and our very special guest, our fantasy football guru, the Stiz.
What's up, fellas?
Going on, DJ Stiz?
All right. Coming off a quick 3-day bender, so
Yeah.
you got me here today.
Yeah, Stiz got it in this weekend. His birthday was Friday, Coach, like we said. So fantasy football draft Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday he drank all day and played cornhole. My team made it to the championship and lost, obviously. But, yeah, it is what it is.
Well, I figured I was a little concerned because we were supposed to do our show on Sunday, but I figured since it was, your birthday and everything, I didn't think that we were going to be able to get to it.
I would have been casting from the cornhole backyard in flight. I would have showed you my cornhole stance.
Now, Coach Stiz, if it's good quick before we get in, obviously, all the fantasy football, Sunday, we're going to be starting Sunday. The three of us are going to be doing a show starting at 10 a.m. So till, I guess, probably 11 or so. We're not sure yet. We're kind of going to see how it goes. If we get some calls and things go well, we might stretch into a little bit into 11. But looking forward to that with you guys. I think that's going to be a lot of fun, talk fantasy football, gambling, and football in general. So it's that time of year. And I know this coming for Sunday for me, it might be my favorite day of the year, if not one of my favorite days of the year. That first Sunday you wake up and you got NFL, I know how excited I am getting my fantasy teams together, picking my suicide pool that I'm in, that Stiz is running, and I know Stiz is getting his bets and his fantasy stuff together. I can't wait till Sunday.
Like Christmas morning.
Yeah.
It is. You get up, you're excited. It's like, football, you're ready to go. And it's, for me, usually it's a, Sunday morning, I usually am up probably watching some high school film from Friday night, watching some stuff, getting ready for 1 o'clock, and now with no high school football, we don't know. Hopefully this week we'll find out if they're going to let the kids play. Hopefully that's the case, and we'll be able to do it. So,
but no, it's like in the fall, your weekends, you got stuff to do. Your Saturdays, college. I mean, we don't, obviously the Big Ten and Pac-12 are out, but still with SEC and ACC and Big 12, that's enough, So you got Saturday college football and then, Sunday football, Monday football, and then you got the Thursday night game. So, really excited. There he is, Jason Dean chiming in. Haven't heard from him in a while. We were worried about you, Jason Dean. Coach thought you went on a serious bender.
Yeah, I was supposed to link up with him this weekend because I was up in the Poconos. It's up near his area, but change of plan. We didn't get to work it out. So but it was all good.
Yeah, real quick before we get into fantasy, I just want to talk about the Flyers. Obviously, disappointing. I think obviously. They went in as the number 1 seed. I think I thought a little bit with my heart picking them with the cup. I think my cousin was right when he saw 8% power play when most power plays are in the 22 to 25%. They just weren't getting shots on net. You got to score
we
goals.
had 4 all first period. The first period of Game 7, 4 shots came within, I think, the first 5 minutes of the game. And then
Coach, too, if you look at it, in Game 2, they started off 3-0. And then, obviously, the Islanders come roaring back, and the Flyers win in overtime. So they really only had, played well 1 period in that game. And then they not dominated, but played well in Game 5. Other than that, they were thoroughly outplayed by the Islanders.
They looked flat. They looked flat most of the series, unfortunately.
Yeah, they did. In Game 6, they get outshot like 55 to 27, which is 2-1. I mean, Carter Hart keeps them in that game. Yeah, but hey, Jason Dean, your team Vegas was really looking. They were struggling there. Yeah, they were on the ropes. They all were. I mean, you had 3 teams that all we're up 3-1 that went to Game 7, but obviously all the teams ended up moving on. And the Flyers, it's just a shame when you're in a Game 7 like that. I mean, to lose 4-0, and when they were down 2-0, I figured the game was over. So, yeah. But the biggest thing is, too, they're going to need to find some offense, whether, having a full year of Lindblom, Nolan Patrick coming back. But, Giroux struggled. Konechny didn't have a goal. JVR didn't do much. Hayes was good. Voracek was, had a couple good games. But, they got to figure some things out for the future. I think it is bright with the coaching and with a 22-year-old goalie like Carter Hart. But, disappointing. It was looking like, man, Coach was all on Vegas and Islanders winning it all. And it was looking like, man, it could be 0-6. And that's what I was hoping for. But Coach got lucky and squeaked through.
Got a shot. He's got a shot. He's still in it.
Yeah. Right. And Vegas went down 1-0. Right, Jason? They went down 1-0. I was surprised when I saw that.
I mean, hockey is so weird. And Stiz will tell you, too, when you talk about gambling especially, it's so hard to handicap right now. I mean, like the Bucks, I guarantee you the Bucks wouldn't be down 3-1 if they had home court. They were such a good home team. But, you're playing on a neutral site, obviously.
Right.
And, look at how crazy it is. The Heat look great the first 3 games. Giannis gets hurt in Game 4. He's out near the end of the first quarter, and the Bucks win the game. It makes no sense. And that's gambling for you, Stiz will tell you.
He's trying everything he can to get back to Game 5. He's doing severe rehab.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if that's going to matter or not. Coming back 3 more games to win that series is going to be pretty much possible
for them.
Well, a team's never come back down 3-0 in the NBA.
What I was just going to say, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Stiz to the line came out today. It kind of says to me, Bucks, though. The Heat's are only a 3-point favorite. With the way they've played and Giannis being laid up, I kind of like the Bucks tomorrow night. I mean, I don't think they win the series, but I could see them taking it 6. And then, obviously I think Giannis is just going to, I think that injury is just going to take him over. Maybe he can get one game. I mean, look, he had 19 points in 11 minutes and then got hurt last night.
Right. I think I'm going the opposite way, actually. I think the Heat finish them off. I mean, I don't think they want to go to Game 6, and they know it. Because if Giannis doesn't play this game and he's back next game and Milwaukee ends up winning going to Game 6, then you're in trouble.
Plus, as you know, each game you lose, the pressure starts flipping. Right. You know what I mean? Especially when you get those 2. Game 4, it's one thing, but then Game 5 you lose. Well, now you're in that situation where you lose Game 6. You're playing Game 7. It's like, oh my God, what happened? And Jimmy Butler admitted, he basically said that when Giannis got hurt, they took the foot off the gas and kind of figured we got this one in the bag. And, Middleton had a great game. The kid from Villanova was really good, Dante DiVincenzo, who has, I tell you, man, athletic as hell, man. He can really ball. So, we'll see what happens. But obviously, going to get into some fantasy football. That's why Stiz is here tonight. Look. So now, Stiz, the first thing I wanted to ask you more is about, because I know with me, I used to a lot draft a quarterback in the first round. And I know you say obviously shouldn't do that. Now, we all know there's not many, as you want to call them, 3-down running backs, cowbell running backs. So you obviously, I would take it, you would think those first 4 or 5 picks should be those running backs. And then after that, where do you go? You don't go quarterback, right? Would you go receiver? How are you looking at with that?
Well, I'll be honest. So I just did 2 drafts on Friday and Saturday. You look at the lineup for the schedule, and there's probably about, I'd say, 10 or 12 really good running backs out there. So you're talking 2 rounds worth, maybe, if you throw in a couple tight ends, couple receivers, whatever. You have to come out of that first 2 rounds with at least one stud running back, no matter where you're drafting. I drafted 9th in my one league, and I drafted 6th in the other league. Now, I ended up getting Kenyon Drake from Arizona on my way back in the 2nd round. I drafted Devontae Adams first. I like to stay balanced. That's my way of drafting my team. You ask anybody, everybody's got their own ways to manage to draft their team. Some people like you like to have that, top star quarterback, that Mahomes, that Jackson, which they're going way too early for my, in my opinion.
Right.
And you want a top, wide receiver too, because there's only, a handful of them. But running back is super important, like you said, because there's not too many 3-down backs. Everybody's running back by committee. And it's hard to really find one later in the draft if you wait, unless somebody gets hurt, and that's a whole different story.
Yeah, and the play to that, when you talk about quarterbacks, I was surprised to see, and Coach will like this, I saw a blind resume of two quarterbacks. So quarterback A, and this is the last 12 games of the season, quarterback A, 19 fantasy points per game, 19 TDs, 217 rushing yards. Quarterback B, 18 points, fantasy points per game, 24 touchdowns, 274 rushing yards. Quarterback A is Patrick Mahomes. Quarterback B is Daniel Jones. So that goes to Stiz's point that to put all that value in a quarterback, when a guy like Daniel Jones, I mean, heck, he wasn't even really going. You could have got him on a waiver wire, right, Stiz? Because he went in as a backup to start the year.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, for sure. He wasn't drafted last year. And just say this year, for instance. So you're saying Patrick Mahomes is going usually late second round, early third round. Okay, the number one quarterback in fantasy, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You can wait, I'd say 6, 7 rounds and go to the 8th, 9th round, and you can get a Matt Ryan. You can get a Drew Brees. You can get guys like that who are going to be, like you're saying, when you break it down per game, a couple points per game. And you have 6, 7 rounds difference. That's huge. That's huge.
Now, one thing too, this will go to Coach too, and I don't know about you, and people will think everybody loves McCaffrey, and this might seem nuts to people, but I would lean more to Saquon this year than McCaffrey because I'm worried that people are going to say to Teddy Bridgewater, "You beat us." They're going to put 8 in that box and try to stop the Panthers. And I don't think he's going to have – I mean, look, he's going to put stats up. We know that. But I don't think he's going to have the year he had last year. I think you're going to see a bit of a drop-off, and I think you might see – I really think Saquon's got the potential to have that number one running back type year in the league.
He very well might be. I mean –
I have to agree with that, being the Giant fan that I am. But I just think that, Daniel Jones has some weapons around him. Can Evan Ingram, who is the key, stay healthy? Because you saw a couple years ago when OBJ was still on the team, when he got hurt, the last 4 games of the season, he was the number one receiving tight end in the league, yardage wise and receptions. So you see, he can be when they load the box against Saquon, he becomes that legitimate threat.
Right.
So, and I think Daniel Jones kind of proved himself that he can make some throws, and I never doubted the kid. My only complaint was where he was drafted. That was my only complaint with the kid. So,
Well, I think the biggest question for the Giants is going to be line play, and that's another thing to go into the Panthers. They lose perennial Pro Bowl guard Trey Turner, I think that was his name, Trey Turner, but whatever, the guard for the Panthers who got traded to the Chargers. So you lose him too. So, but you think McCaffrey's number one running back? Is he number one on your board?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, absolutely. And then where would you have Saquon?
Saquon's a close second, a very close second. One of my drafts, the guy chose to pick first, and he took Saquon over McCaffrey. Okay. And I mean, you talk about loading the box. I mean, yes, they will. Defenses will do that, but he's a special type of running back. He, like AP. Yeah. When AP came out, they loaded the box against him. They couldn't stop him either. Yeah. And McCaffrey. The good thing with McCaffrey is he's small, he's quick, so he gets out on the screens.
And that's the thing. Receptions is a big part of it too. Yeah.
He's not just going through the middle of the line or trying to skate out. He's going out on little screens, little dump routes, whatever. So that's huge.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with Saquon's, though, is the explosiveness. Now, who would you say after those two would be the third running back?
Well, I'd have to go with Zeke. I think behind the offensive line, I think he's a safe play where he could have been drafted, first or second. Honestly, them three are, I don't know, they're interchangeable in some ways, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
I
when
think
you
I'm
look
going
at
to go with Zeke. Zeke's a safe play.
now, I agree. He probably is the safest of the three, too, because obviously you have the line, you have Dak, you got three receivers in Gallup, Lamb, and then obviously Amari Cooper. Surprised they didn't get a tight end to throw into that bunch because, man, it would just be like that's almost like the '93 Cowboys. You just got so many weapons, you don't know where to. I mean, because a lot of people forget with the Cowboys earlier. Alvin Harper was a hell of a receiver to play with Michael Irvin. A lot of people forget about him, and then we're not even bringing up Jay Novacek. And then just real quick, too, quarterback. So you got Mahomes 1, Lamar Jackson 2. Who would you go 3? Would it be Watson, or who would you have 3rd?
No, you know what? He is Watson's ranked 4th or 5th on the pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like him losing DeAndre Hopkins.
I agree.
You know, and you got Brandon Cooks there, who if you blow on him, he's going to get a concussion.
Yeah.
You know? You got David Johnson, who's injury prone as can be.
Right.
You know? So I don't know. I don't know. I don't really like him. Dak's been thrown out there. I wouldn't be surprised Kyler Murray creeps up there as maybe your number 3 quarterback this year. I wouldn't be surprised with his rushing, stats, and he's got some weapons there now. I could see it.
And let's not forget too. That's where we saw the big, dramatic development of Lamar Jackson was from year 1 to 2, where year 1 it's and then boom, last year he comes out and has the MVP type year. So
maybe the same type this year. With Kyle.
Now let's just stick with quarterback because I want to go back to the running back a little bit, but we'll stick with the quarterback. Who's your sleeper? Like who's your guy? I mean, is Cam a guy that might be that late round? You take them. Is he a guy that I want on my bench? I mean, I don't know. Is he a legit guy to put in the starting lineup?
Yes and no. I don't know. He wouldn't be my sleeper. I mean, yeah, if he stays healthy, sure, of course. I mean, he was a great quarterback. A couple years ago, as long as he stays, from being injury prone. I don't know. My guy, I think this year might be Drew Lock. I know Nevada talked about him, months ago, and got some weapons around there. And you got Melvin Gordon, you got Philip Lindsay in the backfield who both catch the ball. You got these young receivers. I don't know. He's probably my sleeper, I think.
Okay. Now we got a lot of Raider fans. They want and so where does Derek Carr fit?
Wow. I mean, he's way down the pecking order for me. To be honest with you, there's just too many.
But he's got a lot of weapons now. I mean, they went out and drafted receiver heavy. I mean. And they have a good running back with that offensive line. He's got to be second in the league.
Stiz is really high on Waller, too, the tight end.
Oh, yeah, I love Waller. I had him last year in fantasy, and what a surprise he was. I got him again this year, actually. Yeah, they do have a lot of young receivers. If Josh Jacobs, he says he wants to catch the ball more, hopefully he does. If that happens, some screen passes, that'll, boost Derek Carr's numbers up for sure. But I don't know. I don't know if I had to give you a number, he's maybe my 12th, 13th quarterback.
All right. Now, Jason Dean also threw Matthew Stafford out there, and Angela Carpenter. She said she wanted to know about Russell Wilson. Where's he at?
Love him.
He might be 3, right?
He's 3rd or 4th on my list.
Yeah, right. Okay.
On my list.
Now, real quick to circle back about Cam Newton. Don't you think he'd be great, though, Stiz, to have as your backup quarterback? Because, if let's say he comes out and surprises some people, now, maybe you could throw him into the starting lineup.
For sure. He's a great backup. He's a great backup. Or he's a streamer on, your starters bye week.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he's still got Julian Edelman, the ageless wonder.
Right.
Got a crowded backfield of, Jimmy, John, and Tony. It's just who knows what's going to come out of that backfield.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, he's all right. He's all right.
Yeah, and I think with him too, I think it's a wait and see approach from fantasy. Wouldn't you think? Like, there's potential there, but then there's also been injuries. I think it's more of a sit back, wait, let him prove it. If you take a flyer on him as your backup, I got no problem with that. But I don't think right now yet I would put him as your starting QB. I would wait, to have him as your backup. I do agree with you on the Drew Lock. I think having Jerry Jeudy, who once again, I know Captain loves Ruggs. I think Judy's the more accomplished receiver. Ruggs might have the higher ceiling potential-wise, but I think Jerry Jeudy's going to be, as we will transition to that, stays into the rookie receivers. I think of the rookie receivers, Jerry Jeudy's the guy that I think has the best year. Who do you think?
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it didn't show. When did he get drafted? Was he the
12, I think.
What number receiver was he drafted out of the rookies? Was he like 4th, 5th?
Ruggs?
No, Jerry Jeudy.
I think he was after Ruggs. I think he was second.
Okay.
And then after him, yeah, I believe so. Because then after him was Jefferson, and the Eagles got Rager. Now, let me ask you that, too. What do you think of Jefferson? Obviously replacing Stephon Diggs. You do have Thielen on the other side. But sometimes when you got a good one like Thielen, that might help a rookie like Jefferson kind of transition in. Do you like him or no?
Well, and I'll talk about Thielen a little bit later, or
okay,
minutes. But yeah, the only problem I have is they're a run first offense now, and Kirk Cousins, Pee-Pee's boy. I'm not too sold on him. They, like I said before, they run the ball, they play defense. As long as Dalvin Cook's upright, they just you've seen Adam Thielen's stats from last year. With Stephon Diggs, it wasn't much, and he didn't. He got hurt, so I don't know. We'll see. Rookie receiver come in on a run first offense. I mean, not putting too much stock in them. Put it that way.
Yeah. Now that's a running back I'm high on, but that's what fantasy. You got people don't leak. They excuse me. I love Cook, but he doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield a lot, and a lot of the fantasy people like those dual guys like Saquon and Christian McCaffrey that are going to get you 4 or 5 receptions a game, and which is 4 or 5 points right from the door before you talk about touchdowns, receiving yards, or rushing yards.
That's why I enjoy being in PPR leagues, points per reception. I mean, I don't know if you guys were in them type of leagues when you guys got involved in fantasy football, but yeah, that's huge. That's why I said running backs are a big commodity early on, especially pass catching running backs.
Well, tell me who is going to be the first rookie receiver off the board in the draft?
First rookie receiver. I would probably say Ruggs.
Yeah.
I would probably say Ruggs.
Especially with the injury to the other guy too,
Well, that'll boost him up for sure. And I know Captain, talked about that Brian Edwards.
Yeah. He's out for the year, right?
So the rookie, the 3rd round rookie that the Raiders have.
Yeah, no, he's out for the year, I thought. Isn't he out?
The rookie that Captain was talking about?
Yeah, I think the 3rd round rookie.
The kid from South Carolina now.
What's
that, Coach?
The kid from South Carolina? The big.
Yeah, I thought he got hurt.
No.
Really? Wow. Because remember, Coach, Captain said to me when I said about Henry Ruggs getting his time in once the other receiver got hurt, Tyrell Williams. He said that Brian Edwards, don't sleep on him because he's going to be on the X receiver. So yeah, I didn't hear anything about that. Wow.
Yep. Here he just said right here.
There you go.
What do you say?
The only unfortunate part is
look out for.
I don't see comments on my screen for some odd reason, so we'll have to mess around with that maybe.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'm trying to look it up. I could have swore I thought he got hurt. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. I thought it said, it's Terrell Williams who got hurt. Okay. Right. Yeah, you said that. So that's my fault. So, yeah, but you got 2 rookie receivers, but I would think you're going to lean towards Ruggs, obviously. And then, I think Carr, if you're looking at a player on that team, obviously, I think and a lot of quarterbacks' comfort zone is a tight end. And I think it's going to be Waller is going to be the guy he's looking for and the guy he's now built a rapport with. Ruggs will do his, but come on, man. If you're Carr, I think we all agree, I'm looking for Waller.
9-10 targets a game for sure.
Yeah. And that's where you can create the mismatches on the defense too, Coach. You know, you get that tight end lined up against a linebacker or something, and Waller's basically a receiver playing tight end. You know, that's the kind of skill he has, and that's why you see these tight ends ever since you saw the Antonio Gates and the Jimmy Grahams of the world, where it started to transition to what they would call pass-catching tight ends, not your Gronks where they could block as well. A lot of these guys couldn't block, anybody, couldn't block a 100-pound guy.
Right.
But, they're going to do damage catching the ball like Jimmy Graham did with Drew Brees.
Well, what about, and I'm going to throw another giant, Evan Ingram. Another receiver playing tight end,
Big body.
Yeah.
Big body. Played well his first year and then unfortunately got hurt,
Now, where is he going, Stiz, in regards to the tight ends? Is he top 10? Or
he's top 10. He's maybe 6th, 7th.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably right after Waller.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably right in that range. Tight ends you don't really have. You got Kittle, you got Kelsey, you got Ertz, you got Mark Andrews from Baltimore, had a huge year last year, and then you probably got Waller, and then after that it's really a crapshoot, honestly.
Okay. Well, where do you put Gronk in?
Coach, you took the words out of my mouth. Yeah.
Where do you put Gronk in this? Because, the guy sat out for a year, but, him and Brady have that chemistry. I feel like Brady might lean on him a little more early on in the season. So until the receivers get a little more comfortable with him.
I mean, Brady will use him, of course. I mean, that's his guy. Whether he's going to be a huge factor this year, I don't think so. I mean, they got 2 other tight ends, don't forget. They got Cameron Brate, and they have text the other
the kid from Alabama.
Yeah. His name's
I'm drawing a blank on that.
It's slipping me right now, unfortunately.
O.J. Howard.
O.J. Howard. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and plus, I think with Gronk, too, I think they're almost going to have him like a defensive lineman where he's only playing maybe 50% of the snaps. Wouldn't you agree with that, guys? I don't think they're going to have him playing a lot. They're going to have him play. I mean, I think he'll have an impact, but I don't think he's a top 10 tight end.
Right.
Unfortunately, I can't see the comments, but you said Angela Carpenter, my girl from work. Her husband, Andrew, was one of my fantasy team. He was my partner or whatever. He would take Gronk every year. And I'd have to fight with him every year when I'm partners with him. No, we're not taking Gronk. We're not taking Gronk. So Andrew, shout out to you. No Gronk. Because he was a great tight end back in the day.
Right.
But he's injury prone. You see all that happened to him. And now, he lost a lot of weight, man. He's a skinny dude now, it looks like,
Yeah.
He's not that big guy that you saw.
Yeah, well, I don't think that they're going to ask him to do too much blocking. I think he is going to be Tom Brady's red zone guy, and cause that matchup, line him out wide and make him go on a short corner and throw the jump ball.
Yeah. And some big guys in that offense too. I mean, they got Mike Williams,
Yeah.
O.J. Howard and Gronk. So, I mean, you throw all 3 of them in the back in the end zone. All 3 of us hop up for the ball. One of you's going to come down. But they're right.
And then you got Goodwin, too, who's, he's not as big as Mike Evans, but he's, good from Godwin. Right, sorry.
He's
Delaware product, Penn State product,
Yeah, he's an underneath guy. So
now, Stiz, Jason Dean brought it up, I believe, and I'm curious to that too. Mark Ingram. A lot of people always high on him, but everybody loves this J.K. Dobbins, thinks he might take some of Ingram's carries away. What do you think about that? You still take Ingram, or are you worried about that yourself?
I did. I took Ingram because I got him. I mean, he's going – I mean, he was a hell of a running back last year, and I ended up getting him, I think, in the 5th round in one of my drafts. I didn't back him up with Dobbins, although Dobbins is one of my sleepers this year. Ingram's, 31 years old, I believe? He's
getting up there.
He's getting up there, and he had a heck of a run last year. And don't forget, Baltimore had averaged the most points last year in 2019. Yeah. So, and I think they're going to try to have Lamar Jackson not run as much.
I agree.
And I think Dobbins, I wouldn't be surprised this first game if you see Dobbins a lot on the field. and you see him switching in and out with Ingram. I really would. And I think at some point, who knows if Ingram gets hurt? I mean, nobody can predict that. But with his age, I mean, yeah, he might be the best thing since sliced bread. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, Stiz, so we're on rookie running backs, obviously. One guy I'm high on, and then you can go who you're high on, obviously, and I agree with who you agree with, too. I like Jonathan Taylor with the Colts.
Yeah.
I think he'll end up – I know he got Marlon Mack there, but I think he'll end up maybe taking that job behind that really good offensive line. Wish they would have went different quarterback-wise, but Frank Reich will run the ball. He did in Eagles. He was always in Doug's ear about running the ball. So I like Jonathan Taylor. What do you think about him? And then obviously you want to talk about your rookie guy that you love.
Yeah, I like Jonathan Taylor too. He's going early in fantasy as well. He's going, mostly third round. I got him in one of my leagues. He dropped to the 5th round. I couldn't believe it. My eyes lit up. So I'm going to take him. He may not produce till, who knows, 5 weeks in. Like you said, Marlon Mack's still your starter. So, but I could see Jonathan Taylor getting in there sooner than later, but you might have to wait a few weeks. Now, you know who my guy is.
Right.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, Kansas City, drafted this guy end of the first round for a reason, right? And now that Damian Williams opts out, now it's a clear path. They're talking about this Darrell Williams. He was a guy that backed up Damian Williams last year. He might see a little bit of work, but this Edwards-Helaire, he's the real deal, man. Catches the ball, and he's on a high-powered offense. I was excited to get him in one of my drafts. I got lucky. Didn't get him in the other one, but that's okay. So,
yeah, well, and too, with Andy, nobody throws more screen passes than Andy does, so you're going to have that with him. And, now another guy who a lot of people have talked about, Stiz, obviously we talked about Dobbins, we talked about Jonathan Taylor, but one guy who not as many people are talking about that I think could have a big year just because of the system that he's in, Cam Akers with the Rams under Sean McVay. I think he might, have a decent year. Look, I know that line's getting a little bit older, but McVay is a very creative offensive play caller. So, and he's from that, he was in Washington with Shanahan and Gruden, and they do that, what is it called? Like a zone blocking scheme, Coach? Yeah, I could, and then obviously they love the play pass and the play action with Goff. So I like Cam Akers. You're not high on him, Stiz?
No, I am. I'm not super high on him, though.
Okay.
I mean, if I had a shot to get him, I would have. I didn't know, unfortunately. I didn't want to grasp at straws for him, to tell you the truth. I don't know. That Rams, running, I'm just not too sure about it, to tell you the truth. I just don't. They really haven't hyped him up so much. I listen to a lot of, hey, JD, what's up, buddy? Akers is going to be the starter. Okay. Yeah, they haven't hyped him up a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts online, of course, for fantasy. So I haven't heard much hype. So I'm going to leave.
Perfect segue, Stiz, because you can listen to this show as a podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. Apple, Spotify, Google. Just type in Coach Muddle, and you can listen to us anytime, day or night. And get Stiz's inaugural show. If you can hear it again.
Nevada, me and Coach used to run the pick and roll, a little alley-oop for him.
Now, Stiz, let's get into a little defensive talk, obviously. Okay. Now, to me last year, I think one of the big things you need to do with a defense is, one, obviously, the defense, but two, look at the schedule. Because you look at New England last year, and they played in the terrible AFC East, and then they played the NFC East, which had, Cowboys have a decent offense, but Eagles struggled with injuries. Washington and the Giants offense not too great. Sorry, Coach. But I include the Eagles in that. But so right there's 9 games against, subpar offenses. So what are your thoughts on defense, obviously, this year?
100%. This year I end up grabbing the Buffalo Bills in both my fantasy drafts. And fantasy, a lot of times, more than not, people wait till the last round, the end of the last round, to draft their kicker and their defense. Right. Because it seems like a lot of times the number 1 defense from the previous year never ends up number 1 again, or even number 2, or even number 3. It's just year to year. You just don't know. There's so many moving parts. Yeah. Going along from what you said, like last year, I took New England, one of my teams, because I'm looking at the division. Well, they got Buffalo, who stinks. They got Miami, who stinks. And they got the Jets, who stink. Right. So I kind of went on that premise this year where you got Buffalo, 2 games Jets, 2 games Miami. They should have a decent defensive outing. And now you got New England without Tom Brady.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's maybe 5 or 6 games where you're going to have a good fantasy output. And then, I haven't really looked too much at their other schedule. Right. But, and they're ranked up there. So, I mean, I took Buffalo maybe around ahead of, next to last or maybe second from last. But, I figured
and Stiz, when you talk about some of the other bigger defenses too, Ravens. Well, Ravens just lost Earl Thomas. And then you got to look and think, okay, Big Ben's back in the division now too. So Pittsburgh's not going to have that anemic offense they had last year. And then you got San Francisco, who I think they're number 1. But San Francisco's got to play Seattle, the Rams, and Arizona, all quality offenses. And then another good defense to go to is the Saints. But you're playing Atlanta, who's got a high-powered offense, and Tampa Bay now with Tom Brady there. So those are things you need to factor in when you're looking at defenses. And that's why I think Buffalo may be the number 1 defense this year. I think Baltimore takes a step back. And, look, don't get me wrong, San Francisco's got a ton of players, but you're playing a lot of good offenses.
I hope you're right. Trust me. I hope you're right. I mean, that's basically all I did was went along that premise of the division. So,
Okay, now Joe Burrow, number 1 pick this year. What do you think? You like him? No, wouldn't have him on your team. Backup quarterback, or just stay away from?
To me, he's a streaming quarterback. In case your top guys on bye later on in the year, you really want to see what he does. He wouldn't be bad to maybe pick up, keep on your bench. You never know if he has a good first couple weeks. He might be stash worthy where people are looking for him. I mean, he's got a few weapons there. AJ Green, I'm not sold on though. That guy, I never go with injury prone guys, man. And this guy's, he hardly plays. It's a shame. It's a shame. Yeah. Such talent, he just can't stay healthy.
Now, what if it's in the later rounds? So I agree if you're talking the first 7, 8 rounds. But let's say you're at the end of the draft. You don't take a flyer on him, waiver wire, none of that?
Yeah, I mean, you could. It really depends on how you're managing your team, to be honest with you. Saturday, I didn't take a quarterback, till the 9th round. You know who I got in the 9th round?
Who?
Aaron.
Aaron
Rodgers.
Wow.
Now, he has Devontae Adams. He had a good running game last year.
Right.
Playing on running the ball a lot. They never got a second receiver. Alan Lazard's there. Who knows what he's going to do? But he really didn't. He had a bad year last year. But in the 9th round,
right?
How you going to take Burrow in front of Rodgers? Maybe I'm going on name status. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And there's a lot of other quarterbacks that may be better than him. But you may be right. Like I said, the thing is with fantasy is, I think it's 75% luck. You have to do your homework. You have to know your shit. But you really got to get lucky. First of all, your top guys don't get hurt, for 1. For 2, you got to make good waiver wire pickups, which goes to doing your homework during the week. You got to get ahead of these other guys who either are working from home and have all the time in the world to be on a computer while I'm busting my ass in front of me in the free agent pickups. But it really is 75%. I'm going to chalk it up to having a lucky year. You have to have everything go your way. You really do.
And you'll see it a lot, Stiz, where obviously in sports, being the 1 seed versus the 8 seed is a big deal. But in fantasy sports, it means nothing because all you need to do is have that good Sunday, and you can easily win and take a championship. With fantasy, it's more in getting to the dance. You know what I mean? Because then you got a shot. So. Yeah, I would agree with you. It's definitely partially luck, and I'm big on waiver wire too. You got to find the guys like Waller last year, who wasn't getting drafted in much things, had that good first week, and you got to jump on it and take advantage of that. Because it's that one guy has a big week in week 1, and everybody's trying to pick him up, thinking, is this going to be that guy who has a breakout year?
Oh, well, yeah, you have to get lucky, if people are sleeping, and you're maybe fourth or fifth on the pecking order and waiver wires, that you get them, but very likely you're not going to. You almost have to premise, in the future to say, hey, this guy might have a shot in a couple weeks. Let me pick him up now. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's tough.
Okay, now I'm going to get in the Eagles a little bit because the Eagles are my team.
Well,
I love Miles Sanders. I know you were high on Sanders. A little concerned, I know you were because of the injury.
Very
but
high.
Still, let's assume he's healthy. I think he has the capability of a top 5 type fantasy year if he's healthy, and they're going to give him the ball, which I think he's going to happen because I just don't think Boston Scott is going to get a ton of touches.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. He was my go-to guy right before fantasy football started. A couple weeks before my drafts, I was licking my chops to get Miles Sanders where I was at drafting. And, once he got banged up, he hurt his leg. He was week to week, they say. I still haven't heard an updated status on him, to tell you the truth. So I don't know, what his deal is. Then the offensive line gets banged up, and, now I'm worrying a little bit.
Right.
Like in fantasy football, your first round pick and your second round pick don't pan out, you're in trouble.
Yep.
You're in trouble to start the season off. So I had to play safe. I really wanted him, trust me, but I had to play it safe. Now it might blow up in my face. He might be fine week 1 and he go on to have, like you said, a top 5, fantasy season.
Nick, you jump right into your Eagles, and really no one gives a shit about the Eagles. Okay? Because Stiz didn't even go over the kickers. We just bypassed the kickers.
Nobody cares about the kickers. So, okay, yeah. Well, kicking, kickers is 100% luck. Because if you got a team with a shitty red zone offense, it's good for your kicker, And there's some teams like that. I know a lot of people, number 1 kicker is what? Tucker, right? Stiz, probably, I would assume. Yeah. And after that, it's a crapshoot.
Tucker, Harrison, Butker from Kansas City because they score so many points.
Right.
And then you got New Orleans, Will Lutz.
Yeah.
Who's in the
dome.
Yeah. Half the season. So that's a key factor too. Most people don't look too much into kickers, but you know what? Like you say, you're looking for a team. You're looking for a team that can get down the field but not score touchdowns.
Yeah.
You're almost looking for that Carolina type team. Something like that. That Buffalo type team.
Indianapolis, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland, correct.
Yeah.
Speaking of Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, I listened to these podcasts all season. Man, boy, did I buy into the hype last year. Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
Coach's boy on his cruise with his Odell Beckham jersey. Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, me and Coach. Yeah.
He killed me.
He
killed me last year.
Mm.
He killed me.
Both me and Coach weren't on the train last year. We both said the Browns weren't going to make it. Because remember the word, Coach? Expectations.
Yep.
And that was something they never dealt with. And then, too, I just didn't like Kitchens. And that's one thing, too, where you need to look deep into things. Mayfield was good in the second half of that first year. They weren't playing anybody. That's what kind of happened. Right. You got to look into those things. And we'll see if he can bounce back. But, I'm not big on the Stefanski hire. I think they missed the boat not hiring Mike McCarthy last year. That was the way to go. Get the proven coach in and go for it. I can't believe Coach. Now, Stiz, I'm a little leery of Lamar Jackson this year. I know I just got a feeling the teams are going to try to stop him from running the ball. And I know he's huge because he can run the ball and all that, but I got a feeling a guy like Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott may have better years than Lamar.
I don't know about Carson Wentz.
Oh, shut up, Coach.
I think that what's his name will be starting here by week 4.
Who?
Hurts. Jalen Hurts.
Shut up. You stop.
Jalen Hurts, come on the bandwagon, baby.
He's got the Giants winning the division, too.
Because Carson Wentz can't play a full season. 9 minutes of playoff experience.
Now, he missed.
Coach Billy on the train.
Yeah. He played 2 full years, and then he missed a couple games in between. The concussion was a fluke, Coach. And let's not forget, he's got D-Jacks all year. Now, where Stiz goes, the injuries there, you got to worry about that with Djax. And, unfortunately, Rager, I think, is going to miss, the first month, is it, Stiz, they said, around? Something like that. So that hurts. I don't know how much you can count on Jeffrey anymore. Yeah.
And now Jeffrey, don't forget.
Yeah, but I don't know how much you can count on him either. He's coming off an injury as well.
That's the problem. So, I mean, where's their offense coming from?
Yeah. Well, Ertz got it. They run a lot of two tight end. But no, I think Wentz is going to have a nice year, Coach. He'll have a better year than your shitty quarterback. I'll say that. Daniel Jones.
Wait, what? I'm sorry. Didn't you have a stat earlier that showed you how good Daniel Jones was?
I did.
It wasn't Carson Wentz in that stat.
I heard it, Coach.
Yeah, right? I'm just saying it.
When you play the school of the blind, that's what happens. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, Daniel Jones, I never understood the pick, but man, once you watch him play, you can't deny it. There's talent there.
There is.
He doesn't have, I know Stiz is high on Slayton, is it? Stiz coming into this year?
Yeah.
And I know you are too, Coach. I just don't. I think, and hey, people were saying Sterling Shepard looks good in camp. I think they need to more help Daniel Jones. If he gets some receiver help and Saquon can do something in the backfield, Daniel Jones could be scary. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean,
it's the offensive line. Can this offensive line, you're going to have a rookie start at left tackle. So we'll see how that works out. I think if the O-line can stick to it and Daniel Jones has success throwing the football, Barkley's going to tear it up because now you got to defend both. And I think you saw that in Saquon's rookie year because teams had to defend OBJ and Saquon, and they had to pick and choose, and it opened things up for Barkley. And I think you're going to see that same thing happen this year because teams are going to have to, pick and choose because the Giants have a few weapons and Daniel Jones can throw the football.
Yeah. Now, one guy I hate to admit, I do think Dak could have a big year with all those weapons. But let me ask you this, I don't like any of the receivers because I think they all kind of wash each other out. Amari Cooper's inconsistent. CeeDee Lamb, I think, has some talent, but then you got Gallup. So it could be, this game, this guy has a good game. The next game, this guy has a good game. How do you feel?
I kind of like Gallup the best out of them three, but no, I definitely agree with you. I mean, they have a lot of talent. You're right. Dak should have a good year. I mean, he's got the talent around him. That's what he's looking for. He's just got to win a couple playoff games.
Right, and he's got to beat teams with over 500 record too.
Right. Still trying to get paid, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's going to be the big thing because honestly, if they have another 8-8 year, I don't know that he's the quarterback next year. He's either getting franchised or getting traded, and they're not going to give him a contract because then no matter what, it's like we're giving you the keys to the Ferrari, and you can't go beat a fucking Toyota in a race. You know what I mean? Well, I mean that's what it is. It's the truth. He's been given everything he can get to succeed. You talk about a quarterback who's been given everything he can. Top 3 offensive line, Cooper, Zeke, top 3 running back, a good receiver, and now you got the coaching. I would give it a little bit to Garrett sucked as a coach. He does. He's a shit coach. I know you might like him as an O coordinator because he's your O coordinator, coach, but he still sucks. I mean, come on, coach. He had some talent on that team, and they did nothing but underperform. But let's see what he does with McCarthy. I think he could have a big year.
All right, let's see. We'll see what happens.
Time will tell.
Time will only tell. We'll see what happens.
And then, Coach, I got a pick for tonight. I like Tampa Bay.
Wait,
sorry. Play the music. Sorry.
Got to play the music.
Intro in, sure.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Nevada Nick. I should have broke your thumb. And if you don't want Gazzo breaking your thumbs, then listen to Nick's picks exclusively in the Huddle with Coach Muddle.
Good old Gonzo.
So I like Tampa Bay tonight, obviously. I'm betting them straight, and I'm going to bet them minus 1.5 goals, which is obviously plus 180. So meaning if you bet $100, minus 1.5 goals, you get 180 back. And then I like the Celtics. And then I also like tomorrow night, Jason Dean's Vegas. Vegas is good, man. I watched them when they played Game 7, and, man, it just seemed like they were all over the place. It seemed like there were 7 Vegas Knights on the ice. So I think Vegas bounce backs against Dallas tomorrow in a game it's almost must win. You don't like getting down 2-0 in these series, especially when you're on neutral ice. It's different if you're down 2-0 and you're going to 2 games at home. That's not happening. You're at neutral ice. I like Vegas tomorrow. I like Tampa Bay tonight, and then I also like the Celtics. And then obviously Sunday, we're going to have our first show 10 a.m. I'll be giving out all my Super Bowl pick, which you're going to want to go and just bet because Nevada Nick obviously gave out the Chiefs last year. Stiz watched the game with me. Took home. Let's just say he had to help me carry the cash out of the casino when I was leaving Harris.
Got a bad back and bad knees.
Yeah, and Stiz was telling me to hedge my bet too. He thought because obviously it was an even line. Basically, I could have hedged my bet, but I told him Nevada Nick pushes all the chips into the middle of the table. We go big or we go home. There's
right.
no middle ground with Nevada Nick.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I was sweating my ass off when they were down by 10 points in the fourth quarter, and then craziness happened. And Stiz, mind you, that day gave us 5 picks on that Saturday, 5-0 on his prop bets, which Stiz is. Yeah. I'm sure Stiz will have some prop bets for us this year. And poor guy had to fucking score the game, and then Damian Williams takes that touchdown with freaking 50 seconds left when he should have just took a knee and let them run the clock out. He screwed Stiz over. He had the exact what they would have won exactly by. I believe it would have been 4 points, right?
Yeah. I think it was 5 points.
5 points, excuse me.
Would have won by 5. Yeah, with that. I couldn't believe it. I said, oh, well, what are you going to do?
Unbelievable.
That's gambling.
So, that's gambling.
Yep.
But, we've come a long way since the first time Nevada Nick comes on the show to give us his Super Bowl picks and blows every single one of them.
It was
almost got fired. Almost was fired after that.
Yeah.
I mean, almost got fired after that.
And then after that, he picked the Masters winner. He picked the Rafters at 10-1. He picked the fucking Kentucky Derby horse that got freaking disqualified the first time in like 100 years. Yep. I had the Nationals for the World Series. I had the Chiefs, baby, at 7-1. So I would say I made up for it. I was on a run last year. Yeah. I really think I'd have had Michigan State. Obviously, I went with my heart like a dumbass and had the Flyers when I should have seen through it. Although I thought they were playing good hockey and going 3-0 in those playing games in the bubble. But, you guys, Stiz knows too. I'm not much of a hockey guy. I'm a Flyers fan. I follow it. I don't follow the league as much. But it's a tough sport, man. I mean, you see it. It's just it's really a tough sport to kind of get a handle on. And it's really a tough sport right now in both sports to get a handle on handicapping because everything's at a neutral court. I mean, Lakers are 1-1. Clippers are 1-1. I'm really hoping. Obviously, Clippers were my pick against the Celtics. I mean, look at the Celtics. The Celtics were up 2-0 with 0.5 seconds left, up 2 points. And they make a defensive mishap. The guy throws the ball over to the 7-Eleven freaking taco guy, Taco Charlton or whatever his name is, and they hit a 3. Yeah. And now it's a tied series. And, and I can say that too. Stiz had the Rafters going to the finals. That's who he liked out of the East. I like the Celtics. And I think one of us will be right, although you do need to be wary of the Heat, who, what a job Pat Riley does as a GM to get them. And Stiz, do we not miss Jimmy Butler on the Sixers? Yeah. That's the kind of that's the kind of player they need.
Or not, but he's not on my cup, unfortunately. Not on my cup.
Yeah.
I'd like to have him on there.
Yeah, I hear you. And the Sixers could have used him. And supposedly what they said it was him and Simmons couldn't get along and it had to be one of them. And I would, if I'd have known that, I know Butler's older, but man, he looks really good on the Heat, and there's not much around him. They have some good quality players, but it's not like he's got another star. He's just got a bunch of good, Goran Dragic, Jay Crowder, Andre Iguodala, a very good veteran. He just has a lot of good hero the 3-point specialist. He's just got a lot of good role players around them. But hell, man, if the Heat have a finals run this year, I mean, man, kudos to Jimmy Butler because it's just
he wants the ball. I mean, that's the main thing. Nobody wants the ball in crunch time.
Especially, as I was going to say, in the fourth quarter, right? And that's what the Sixers lack. Yep.
He wants to give me the ball. I want to take the last shot.
Yeah.
It's killer mentality. That's what you need on your team.
Right. You need those alphas.
I'm going to throw a couple sleepers with you guys, if you don't mind. For the last couple minutes. We got about 5 minutes.
You got a couple minutes. Go ahead. Throw them at us.
Darius Slayton, I told you about.
Mm-hmm.
McCole Hardman, number 3 receiver for Kansas City. High-powered offense. It's his second year in the league. He had 538 yards last year receiving with 6 touchdowns. Most of them were long plays. The reason why I like him late, and you could get him in the 13th round usually, is because Sammy Watkins hurt every year, injury prone. Tyreek Hill, as you've seen the last couple of years, with his leg, he's been having a lot of problems with his leg. He tweaked it during camp this year.
Right.
So he might hop in to be your number 2 receiver on that high-powered offense.
Right.
So in his second year, I think he makes a show.
Okay.
Another guy I'm looking at is DJ Chark. Okay? Jacksonville, they're a dumpster fire, right, Coach?
Yeah.
Your phrase. They lose their running back. They get rid of everybody on defense. They're going to play from behind every game. They're going to every game, which means what? You got to throw the
ball. Yep.
And Chark, 118 targets last year, 1,008 yards. Pretty good, pretty impressive outing. And that was with Fournette, and that was with a better defense. So he's my other sleeper that I put out there. So,
okay,
perfect.
Good stuff. All right, good stuff. Just so everybody knows, tomorrow head over to YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the page. Captain Jack, the hardest working guy on the internet, will be that isn't on his back.
Yeah,
working.
It isn't on his back. Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have Stiz back on Sunday from now through the end of the football season, giving us all his fantasy knowledge. And Nevada Nick and I, Captain, will be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. And, of course, don't forget, you can replay this on anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, Anchor, any one of those. You can check it out. And, of course, YouTube and Facebook. So check us out, Coach Muddle. Just type it in any one of those social medias, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for checking us out. Take care.
For having me. Great show, guys.
Thanks,
Great job.